What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Troy Rawlings here. Welcome to another exciting episode of Meet the. Today on Meet the, I have actually, a lot of times people get interviews and be like, "Oh, a friend of mine," and we don't know each other. I've known this cat since I was a brat. We came up together in Baltimore. Um, oh man,
Be more, man.
DJ basketball player,
Right.
DJ basketball player, digital tech advisor. He used to have a show called The Digital Spin in Baltimore on EAA, and
Yeah.
all the way up to doing correspondence on the Today Show, Emmy Award winning talk show host, producer, uh, South by Southwest speaker, on and on, father, husband, the man, the myth, the legend. Give it up for Mario Armstrong.
Man, it's good to be in the building with you, Troy, man. Like you said, like a lot of times you'll jump on those interviews and you'll be like, oh, that's nice that they said that we know each other, but we don't really know each other. Like we really know each other. So that we really do go back. It's really that real. And Baltimore is like one of those communities that when you click and connect with somebody, it's a small enough city. It's big enough, but yet small enough that it's easy for your families to start to connect, and you hold on to those relationships. So that's true.
Right. What's so funny is even in the spin, and like I told Mario, we do the Tarantino, we jump around a little bit, and I give people their roses while they're alive. Mario was one of the fastest running basketball players ever. If you on his team and he say let's go, get down the court.
You better keep up. Look,
Keep up.
Look, no matter if it was sports, basketball, or whatever, if it's your passion or your career, or because that's what I'm big into, is like really helping people understand how to move forward in their life, but how to do this entrepreneurial thing, how to make your side hustle the real hustle, how to really pursue your passions with real impact and income. And you maybe just think of it. It's true. One of the things that I tell people today that I didn't even realize that I was doing back then was that you got to lean into like what makes you unique. Like if you're honest with yourself as to what makes you unique, if you can be vulnerable with yourself with what makes you unique, you can use that as a superpower. So as an adult, I'm using the fact that I uniquely have a God-given talent for energy. I just uniquely have energy, and I uniquely want to see the best in other human beings, and I just feel committed to doing that. And I'm unique. I got curly hair. I'm unique because I'm short. But related to basketball, I was unique because I was fast. So what I did, now that you say this, is like I was always leaning into the thing that would make me unique to help me elevate or be successful in that moment. So when I was on the court, you short. Yo, you a point guard. You're not the greatest shooter, but you can make plays and you can see the court, but you're fast. You can get steals. You can get the team going. You can put the defense on their heels. So I knew, like, just, I guess, subconsciously, like, yo, that's one of my strengths. But now we're adults. We try to get all more calculated about what our strengths are so we can figure out how to make money from them. Back then, I was just trying to win basketball games down in Campfield and Bedford and BNBL and playing down there in Cold Spring. And I was just trying to win games.
Right. And what's so funny is, and I didn't even, I said when we dialogue, it starts happening with the energy. I was looking at some of your posts and your stories. If you want to be motivated, make sure you follow at Mario Armstrong on Instagram, let alone the NeverSettle.tv, the shows, everything. I got to give you flowers, like I said, while you're alive. I love doing it. I don't know if you remember, I'm trying to think exactly which one. At one point in time, when I was, well, throughout your whole life, you probably don't remember. I'm like between you and your brother's age. I think your brother's younger than me. You're a little older than me. So, and your brother, shout out to DJ Face, Sean Armstrong. He was my first DJ for my first comedy night in Baltimore. My first ongoing comedy night. Face became my DJ. He became my Kid Capri.
Know that. That's crazy.
We were talking the other day while he was spinning, but I want to say this because I know it's unintentional a lot of times when some of the things we do, we're just being ourselves, but you don't know who look at you, the following generation that look at you, and people that watch you. So it was certain things you were doing that I always knew I had a love for radio and wanted to get in certain things. I was too young to get into the UMBC parties, but I had a dance crew, so we would go, and I'd see you over there because I think you was Kappa. So you'd be over there with leading them, same energy, leading them dancing around. I was like, it's Mario again. And then certain times I'm going to put together things for the Baltimore Jazz Review or meet or go to networking events, and you would be up there shaking hands with the people speaking, taking a minute. I remember one time, I don't know if it was Willie Gary. And I was in the line to meet billionaire lawyer Willie Gary, just to kind of shake his hand and say, hey. And I think it was Willie Gary. I don't think it was Bob Johnson. You might have been at that one too. But Willie Gary, you shook his hand and you had this look on your face that whatever I have to say in these 30 seconds, I'm going to make sure he remembers me. I think he was still on the mayor's council at the time. But you don't know that people are watching you like that. Right. When you go forward. How does that affect you now? Is it still as unintentional, or has intention played a bigger role, like you said, since you know that you have the power of energy in you?
Yo, that's a really great question, man. It's a combination of both. It's because I can tell that in situations where things just, it's unintentional, but it's such a part of my subconscious that it just happens naturally. Or like, something will switch and it will happen naturally. And then there are I know I'm going to see this person, or I know I'm going to meet with them, or I'm in a line waiting to, see somebody, like you said back then, so I had a minute to think about it. I think the thing that really helps me the most is constantly reminding myself what my why is, constantly understanding, like, what am I out here trying to do? I'm out here trying to build productions. I'm out here trying to build shows that have high production value, that can help people get the advice, the tips, and the information they need to move forward on their projects, their ideas, to uplift them, to help them level up, and to help them move forward and not deal with the same potholes that I faced or that some of my guests face. And so, when I'm trying to create content that's based around motivating people with substance, you kind of get to this place in your mind, like, all right, I know what my mission is. I remind myself every day what that mission is. Right. And I start doing these little exercises where I'm like, if I bump into Shaq in the street, what am I going to say? If I bump into, Richard Branson, because we do our show over at NASDAQ in Times Square. Like, I'm in Times Square at the stock market's joint, like in the ground floor studio right next door to. So I could bump into in America. Like if I bump into Michael Strahan, what am I going to say? So like I'll just quiz myself from time to time just to think, like, what's that 30 seconds? And I think that keeps me sharp, because it changes, like who we are, what we need, where we are in our stage of evolution and what we're going through. It all changes. Sometimes you need
I tell my folks all the time, if you see me writing, that means you should be writing.
That's good. So, I like that's good.
Yeah. If I'm doing an interview, I'm back. If I'm doing an interview and I'm writing, you should be writing. So let's flip the script. Let's go back a little bit. So you went to college. You went to UMBC. I don't know if you did undergrad or grad school anywhere or whatever. You were at UMBC?
Yo, so I'll give you a story that very few have ever heard. In fact, I think I'm finally, and it's not that it's like I was afraid of it or ashamed of it. It's just that it never seemed to be something that needed to come up at the time. But it's going to come up, I think, next week in my podcast, which is a very short podcast. Y'all can check it out. It's called Wake Up and Level Up. Just look for it, Wake Up and Level Up, or go to wakeupandlevelup.com for it. But I started by going to West Virginia State. So West Virginia State, by the way, is an HBCU. A lot of people don't know this, but it's an HBCU. So I go to this school, and my high school career was crappy. Like I did C, maybe C plus. Like I was probably a C minus C student. Like, yeah, I couldn't get into it, man. It was like one or two classes that would really like connect with me, and then everything else was just like whatever. And I just didn't take it serious and didn't really respect it. And so I go off to college. In my first semester of my freshman year, I knew exactly what I wanted to go to school for, communications. Like I knew I wanted to be talking, speaking on camera, on a microphone. Like I knew that. So best grades of my life. First, I'm calling my mom, telling her to report before I'm coming home for like Thanksgiving break. Like I got these grades. She's super proud. I'm super proud. I turn around, go back to that same school for the second semester in the spring, pledge Kappa. While I'm pledging and while I'm going through that phase, a local dude, a local gangster decided that I was going to be his punching bag. And he had targeted me, basically bullying me, but he was this off-campus high school game or off-campus, it was off-campus high school game. Some seniors were playing or something. And everybody was like, yo, we're going to go to this high school game. So we all went. We're freshmen. I don't really know these cats that I'm rolling with to this game. We're all freshmen. We don't really know each other. We just got into a dorm together just a couple months ago. So we go to this game, and for some reason, dude decides to square off on me. I'm short. I'm an easy target, bro. I got curly hair. I'm thin. I look out of place. I'm trying to dress and look fly. Like I'm out of place. I'm in West Virginia in a country town around, and I'm looking like a city, kind of like slickster kind of cat that doesn't look like a gangster, just looks like a pretty city cat, like not a hardcore city cat. And so he targeted me, man. And for whatever reason, we get to fighting and it got bad. And the fights would just escalate. Like he was now coming on the campus parties and he would show up at campus parties and now we're fighting at campus parties. And it was just it got out of control to the point where he basically shot at me. And so in my second semester of my freshman year, the best grades of my life, I'm in a zone. I'm doing what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing. And now I'm being shot at by a local thug who runs a gang in that community off campus. And my parents are like, zoop, you out. And from that point, college never landed right for me again. So when you saw me at UMBC, I had already made a pit stop at Hampton. I went there for a semester. Couldn't get into the groove there. Just was out of place trying to find my fit. Didn't work. Came back home. Went to community college, Catonsville Community College for like a semester. Did that for a minute. And I was like, man, I want to be on campus. So then it was like, all right, let's go to UMBC. Went to UMBC. Went there for 2 semesters. Didn't finish. Like I didn't finish college. But it all goes back to like this one moment that changes the trajectory of everything. So then you have to ask yourself, well, what did you learn from that moment? Or what did it teach you? And it looks like because I didn't have that regular process or going through that kind of process and journey that way, I really had to learn how to fight for myself. And so being out of college, not having a college degree when everybody back then was getting college degrees, it wasn't like now where you could be like, yo, I can start developing stuff at the age of 18. I don't have to do this. I don't have to go to college. Like you needed that college degree if you wanted to get a decent job back then, unless you were just one of them really weird entrepreneurs that was out there. And so, man, I found myself in sales jobs because they were the only jobs that would take somebody without a daggone degree. So that learning sales at the age of 20, 21, 22, like changed everything. Because then I got into the psychology of how sales work, how people work. How do you try to get what you want? How do you meet people both ways? How do you give and how do you take? Like all of that was early training in the 20s. And so I think that really was the best schooling that I ever got. So yeah, I think this is the first time, but that's how it happened. So when you saw me, you would see me on UMBC's campus. I was DJing. I was going to school. Really wasn't still clicking. They didn't have a communications major, so I was just taking a major to try to do a degree. Basically, y'all, if you're not on your passion and you're not on your purpose, no matter how much you try to force it, it's not going to work. And so what I didn't understand at that time and what I try to communicate to people now is like, you have to answer the purpose that's calling for you. A lot of times you're trying to hang up the phone or you're trying to pick up a two-way or you're trying you trying to ignore that call. Like answer the purpose that's calling for you, not the one that you think you should be doing, and you're going to find more success quicker.
I like comedian Dane Cook said something years ago when I was in the comedy thing. I was just figuring out, and I knew same kind of scenario. My grades ain't all that, but I've been cutting hair for a while. I know if I go to barbering school out of high school, I can make money. But the Broadcast Institute of Maryland was like, you did great on this test. Why don't you come this way? But it's hard to tell them, hey, I'm living by myself. You know what I'm saying? So people don't, I told you, me and my brother are going to do something soon because people don't know the story. They'll see the glory, they see your
Right.
energy, but they don't know that I had to press the gas on this thing to see. It comes to a point, and Barack Obama talks about it in the beginning of the Audacity of Hope. He said there was a point when he had got smashed in one of the local elections. So he was like going back to work, seeing how the earth rotated around the sun. And he came up with this cockamamie idea to run for like Senate or, he wanted to run and told his wife, but she had been cool with, I'm paraphrasing, she had been cool with how everything was going. And she was like, well, I hear you saying you want to go back out there after all that happened. And I like the way our family is rolling and we raising our daughters and we both working. Don't think you got my vote. And he said, there's going to come a time where it's you, your vision, and pretty much God. And you got to decide, am I going to do this no matter what? So that to me explains the birth and the energy of Never Settle. That explains
Right.
why when I was looking at you, everything seemed like you went so hard. Same thing if you have to defend yourself against some bully. It was like everything in my life is energy. And if I'm going to turn even to fear, have to flip the script. Look, this guy's big, he doing whatever, he just that another, but he all right, let me pick on this dude because you wasn't there when his girl said, oh, he cute. Like, who cute?
Right.
You never saw the little thing. Y'all women are cold-blooded, boy. You never saw the little thing that sparked it. His sister. His sister said, oh, he cute. Who cute?
Yeah.
Ain't gonna be no cute around here.
Yeah. Right.
How are these college boys coming in here?
Right. That's it. Yeah. That's probably exactly it.
So for some people, for some of y'all like, oh my God, I couldn't imagine. Well, some of y'all, your bully is your job. Your bully is your boss. How do you tell a person, especially at a time like this? For those, I don't usually date the shows, but for those that are watching now, it's 2020. It's the fall of 2020. Yeah. COVID. We got a president that's a bully. Right. All this stuff is going on, but more people than ever have lost jobs that they were saying they weren't happy with anyway. How do you tell those people, or what advice can you give the person that's trying to figure it out? Because a big part of your testimony is that you remember 10 years ago looking in your bank account and being broke, and you're still trying to, and in your mind and in your heart, this vision is going forward. Your wife is there, she got your back. I'm sure y'all had the ups and downs of everything. We got to do something, baby, and you're figuring it out. How did you transition? Because I don't know what your job was before you decided to do Never Settle. How did you transition that? Because to me, on the outside, it looks like you went cold turkey and you and your wife had to have some serious conversations and you said, I got to go for it. Because the energy you were putting behind it. How do you transition from the 9 to 5 to doing what you're passionate about?
Yeah, especially a 9 to 5 that you don't like anyway. So my 9 to 5s I kind of liked, even though I was doing a side hustle, because I always had a different picture and a different vision for what I wanted to try to create outside of my job. So I think for those of you that are being real with yourself, COVID has forced you, especially in the early part of COVID, you were forced to be like, let me reassess myself. Do I like the person I'm with? Do I like the job that I have? Do I really want to go back to that? And now some of you don't even have that job to go back to that you used to not like. You would have stomach aches come Sunday because you got to go in on Monday. You call out. So this was actually, as long as you didn't have any family members that have died from it, like I've had 2 that have passed away from COVID. So I don't want to bring any light. I don't want to bring light to like how COVID can be like a silver lining for you. Like COVID's clearly killing thousands of people. But for those of you that are alive, those of you that are still well, and those of you that are still here, there's no excuse for you to say, I've gotten time. What am I doing with this time? Because everybody's had that same, we all got centered back to zero with something that we couldn't control. And so the question is, are you going to be mindful with that time, or are you going to be mindless with that time? So I was telling people early in April, I was like, yo, y'all better start studying. Y'all better rapidly acquire some new skills. Y'all better start reading. Y'all better take some college courses for free because you can online. Y'all better start like working on that hobby that you always said you wanted to do but never had time for. Build that website, write that book, start that podcast. Like, stop playing with your gift and your talent is what I was really saying to people. Like, now what's the excuse? You always said it was time. Now what's the excuse? Like, adult humans need to get real with themselves is what I'm saying. We all have insecurities. We all have shortcomings. Nobody is perfect. But are you willing to work on the thing that would really bring you the most happiness? Are you really willing to put in the consistency and the commitment that it actually takes? And so when I think about our bank account going flat broke, I was the one that convinced my wife, like, let's go and do our own company. And then 6 months after convincing her to leave her job, because I got laid off. I don't know if you know that, but I had gotten laid off. And then that's when I decided, took my side gig, and I was like, yo, let's just make this thing the full-time thing. She comes on board. 6 months later, it's 2008. We get hit with the recession. We have about a year's worth of savings. Obviously, we ain't make it. We plow through that. So now things get really bad. Her mother-in-law is having to buy me groceries. We out of money. We're like, credit card debt is the only way we were like surviving. We have a son, Christopher, that we're trying to raise. So things got really, really rough. Like I was taking coins to the Coinstar machine and getting dollars for gas money. So like we hit our bottom. Now everybody's bottom is a different bottom, but that was our bottom. And so when I think about the pandemic now, and I'm like, yo, this is like the first bottom for so many people. So many people, this might be your first bottom, or this might be the worst bottom that you ever had to hit. And what I'm saying to you is, if you can actually start to identify, like, stop playing games with your gift and really say, what is it I really want to do with the rest of my life? What is it that I've always talked about, that I get excited about, that I'm happy about? Maybe you haven't figured out how to make money doing it. That's fine. But what is it? Or do you know what it is? Have you even done enough self-discovery to say, I know what it is, so that you can start doing the research to try to find out how to actually make money doing it? Or are you talking to people like Troy? Are you talking to people like Mario that care about you, that can help give you some ideas and perspectives on how you can actually monetize that thing? So I just think that if people are really like stuck, the question was, if they're unhappy or they don't want to go back to that job, this is the time for you to break north. Like, this is the time to break. You don't have to worry about what's it look like, that I was only there for 3 months or 6 months. Like, you don't have to worry about it. Like, everybody's blaming COVID. Corporations are blaming COVID.
The world is shut down.
Okay, everybody's blaming COVID. So you get that benefit as well. So I just think that right now, while you still have time, because we're still in this pandemic, and I don't really see us coming fully out of this in the way that people want to go back to for a good little while still. I mean, there's going to have to be some developments that really take place in terms of vaccines and other things, and people really believe in those vaccines and that they actually work and no side effects. Like, there's a lot that still has to take place. And we've been hit hard. Like, I'm used to being out on the road. And I know you've been, you supposed to be out shows, events, nights, club, what I mean? So we've all had to pivot. And so I just think that, if something's important enough, you got to do it, even if all the odds are against you.
So I want to jump into this. I know we don't have a lot of time, but we had to do a part two. We had to do a part two.
I'm down for it.
Like I said, I remember you doing digital spin. What got you into the tech side? Were you always kind of a techie? You started doing digital spin, and then I know you were doing the digital piece with the mayor's department. Like, how did you get in that spin of things? Was that you got very information minded, because a lot of tips initially you were doing were in that lane. How did you get into that, the digital lifestyle?
What's crazy, man? Really, I am not like a techie like that. Like, people think because of the persona that I'm like, look at your face. You're like, what? like yo, like
y'all don't know the full. I mean, I'm telling the story from back. This when you see him, he became the digital lifestyle guy on the Today Show. Right. So in New York, so in Baltimore, he had a show on EAA called The Digital Spin. So I'm like, so how?
So it all started because, so here's the deal. I'll do the story in a shortened fashion. I wanted to host a radio show fresh out of college. Well, I wasn't in college, but during that college time when it ain't work out, I was like, yo, I want to host a radio show, because I knew communications was my thing. So I found an AM station. I saw an ad, and I was like, I want to do this show. And they were like, what's the show on? And I was like, I'm gonna talk, because they had shows for everything, politics, money, blah, blah. I was like, what everybody's not talking about? Everybody's not talking about tech. And I knew enough about technology, but I was self-taught. But the only reason why I was self-taught is because I liked the gadgets like intrigued me. So the electronic things, like in that communications framework of like, you know, I like to be on air, but I also like the things that buzzed and made noises. But I didn't really want to build them. I just wanted to teach people how to use them. So I became like a really smart expert in understanding how technology helps us be more productive, helps us pursue our passion, helps us with our life. And so that's where my benefit, that's where my strength became. And I started doing some teaching on the side where I was teaching people how to use like Microsoft Office or how to network computers. Like I started being paid to actually teach people. So I had this level of expertise that was happening. I was like, man, I just need to translate this to an on-air show because I really just want to get on air. So I knew that being Black, being in tech, and being on air was going to be pretty unique. So let me get on air. Let me start this AM show. Then after I did the AM show, I used that to try to convince some Baltimore FM stations. WEAA was one of those stations that was like, yeah, we'll take it. We'll put you on. So then they put me on. And then now I'm on FM radio. And now I'm like trying to figure out how to take this radio thing and get to TV, because really that's really where I want to go. Right. So I use this formula that I call from free to fee, where I think about things that I can do for free that will eventually get me a fee. So when I did that AM radio show, I had a daytime job, but I didn't get paid by that station. In fact, I had to give them money in order to buy the half hour. When I did WEAA, I did that for 3 years, never got a dime, never got paid. It was all about learning, building up my experience, and building up the credibility. So then when I went to Channel 2, which was WMAR TV, it was ABC station in Baltimore, I said, hey, I've been doing this radio show for a couple of years. I really want to take this same idea and do it on TV. And I want to do a segment every Thursday called Tech Tip Thursday. And by the way, I'll do it for free. They were like, wait, you're going to offer up content to our viewers about technology, which was important. And they don't have anybody that can do that. So I was putting myself in a market. We call it the white space. I'm putting myself into a market where there's not a lot of competition. You had a lot of people doing finance. You had a lot of people doing money and all that.
Space. The white space. I like that.
And then subliminally, like, you know, that's why I'm like, you know, it's called the black space. Like y'all called it the white space. It's called the black space because that's how, because we inventive like that. We're the ones that invented the black space. Like, because y'all ain't giving us nothing. We're going to show you where the gap is, and we're going to insert ourselves into the gap and watch what we do when we insert ourselves into the gap. Right? Like, let's just keep. So that's how it all started, man. And then I went, and they were like, yeah, we'll take you. And then I did that. And then the Today Show noticed me, and Rachel Ray and Steve Harvey. Like, it still was me trying to put myself out there. But there was this finding my uniqueness, leaning into that. Oh, nobody's talking about tech. You seem to know what you're talking about. You got some credentials and some expertise, but really you want to be on TV changing people's lives. And guess what? People need help with tech right now more than anything. But now my brand has evolved from that. That was 10 years ago. Now it's like everybody's got a help desk. Everybody's got a teenager that can help them make decisions. And people have gotten smarter in terms of like buying technology and how to use it. So how does Mario evolve? I'm not just going to continue to just be the tech guy. Sure, I still talk about it. I use it, but that's 20% of what I do. Now it's all about how do you build your dream? How do you make several revenue streams of income? How do you become an entrepreneur? How do you actually get that book done that could change the world for people? Like, how do you actually get things done that matter to you is more of what I'm about now.
And I know we got a hard stop, but you brought it all the way up to the Never Settle, and you won an Emmy. So how did it? And I remember the campaigns and the funding and you talking about how you were getting sponsors and stuff like that. So how did the Never Settle even? Was it being at the Today Show that told you wanted to? Yeah, you can grab it, bring it up. Was it being at the Today Show that told you wanted to have it there in New York? Because you adamant about having it in New York as well, right? Yeah.
So I think, you know, it's important for people to have a very big vision for themselves. Many people would say to me, yo, you made it. Like, I was on the Today Show coming out of Baltimore. They were like, yo, you made it. Like, I'm seeing 5-6 million people when I go on the air, and I was on there regularly. Like it was a lot. And I would just be so thankful that people were just like seeing that as like a way of Mario's made it. He represents our city. You know, he does a good job. He ain't out there doing foolishness. and we can call him our homeboy for real, for real. Like he's down, he's he's got our back type of thing. And I always appreciated that. But what was really interesting to me is that was never the end game for me. Like as big as that was to get to that Super Bowl, I was like, nah, there's something called the World Cup. Like the World Cup is like bigger than y'all can sleep. Y'all in the US, the Super Bowl is big, but globally,
bigger than 100,000 people per game.
Globally, the World Cup is. I'm trying to get to the World Cup. So I always saw it, not that they were just a stepping stone, but I did not see it as my final destination. That's why when you asked the question, like, what did you see for yourself for the show? Was it New York? It wasn't New York. It was the fact that you have to have a dream and a vision for yourself that goes beyond what you even think is attainable. Because then before that, the Today Show was unattainable. Before that, getting on CNN regularly was unattainable. Before that, getting on WEAA was unattainable. Like everything was unattainable until it became attainable. So,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I think there's a Nelson Mandela quote that talks specifically about that. Like I'm gonna butcher it, unfortunately, but it's something about nothing's impossible until it's possible. Basically, until someone sees it, it's done. It was impossible until it's done. So when we decided to do this show, we didn't have any money. And I had to try to get brands to buy into the idea, and we didn't have a studio. So I called some tech companies, and I was like, "Can we do our show in your lobby for free?" And because we're going to shoot the show at 7:00 at night, can we shoot it in your lobby? And one of the companies called back and said, "Yeah, you can do it." So we literally shot our show in a company's lobby with 50 seats and had the show done there as our start. And I think a lot of people stop on their start because they think it needs to be perfect or it needs to be ready or it's got to be done. Like the most important thing is for you to start putting your thing out there, because the minute we did that, then the universe started conspiring. God started conspiring. The energy started conspiring to help us. At the end of those 6 episodes, I was packing up the show. We had just killed it. Hundreds of thousands of viewers online watching the show. We killed it. And I'm packing up a U-Haul truck. Like you talk about being humbled. Like, just a week or 2 ago, I was signing autographs from people. Just 2 weeks ago, I was signing autographs from people. And now all of a sudden, I'm out here, in sweatsuit, packing up the U-Haul truck and driving this stuff back to Baltimore to put it in some storage. And then we get a phone call 3 months later because we didn't know what we were going to do with the show. We were out of money, we borrowed somebody's lobby, and then we get a phone call from NASDAQ. We see your show. Would y'all like to do that show over here? So my point is, stop looking for people to put you on and just do the work and promote your work. Don't be bashful. Don't be hesitant promoting your work. That's why you knew what we were up to, because I was promoting the show before the show happened. I was showing you like, hey, we're going to do this show. Do you have it yet? No, but I'm telling y'all about what it's going to be. And I would tell y'all. And so I was giving myself accountability, but I was also putting it out there to show you like, no, we're going to document this journey. And that's how we ended up coming up with the show, doing it in New York. I knew I wanted to do it on a big stage. And so that was either going to be New York or LA. Mm-hmm. That was like, when I look at you, I'm like, yo, he did it. Like, I look at you in the same way. Like, you might not be where you want to be yet, Troy, but you've had wins for sure. And you did something that a lot of people are scared to do. Leave the nest. Go and actually go to where the action is. Like, yo, I'm in comedy where there's really only 2 places I need to be in my life if I'm really serious about this. LA and New York. And
like you, people don't understand. I tell people all the time, I wanted to see how my live show production skills, I love producing shows at the Lyric and the Meyerhoff and wherever I was producing the live concerts, the music concerts and comedy and doing stuff at venues, but I wanted to see how my live show production skills translated into TV and film. That's what made me come to LA, to learn TV and film. And within 8 months, I got my first development deal. And by 2011, I did the pilot that aired on NBC in Baltimore. Thank God for Wanda Draper.
Wanda Draper. See, man, relationships, and you do the work, then people can help you when they're in positions. That's it's like it's interesting. I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I'm grateful that we've been able to have success, and I'm grateful that we've had a lot of failures that makes me appreciate the success even more. But right now, Literally right now, I have just put together an Excel spreadsheet with 50 names of people that I'm sending a 2-minute personal pitch video. So I basically went into my little studio in the basement and said, hey, Kevin Hart, I don't know you. My name's Mario Armstrong. Here's my body of work. Here's what I've done. And you see all the B-roll and you see all the hype and you see all the energy. And then I say, all I really want from you is an 11-minute phone call, because I either want one of two things: to see if you could be a mentor to me, or see if you could be a co-production partner on our show, or be an EP on our show. And I put in maybe one other little thought. I said, basically, I'm just trying to connect with other people of color that are in this business, that are successful, that can see that I've been putting in my body of work and that I'm legit. And I just want to get an 11-minute phone call with you to see if there's any reason for us to do anything further. Like, that's it. And now I'm recording 50 of them. So no,
hey,
I don't want anybody to think like, Mario made it, he got the Emmy, he good, he got it. Like, no, I'm still on the grind. I'm still on the hustle. I call it the mindful hustle, because we can be mindful about how we hustle. We don't have to be getting diabetes and getting hypertension and becoming all stressed out. We can be more mindful and more empathetic and smarter about how we hustle, but we still got to hustle if you believe in what you believe in. So I say to people like, yo, do your actions match your ambition?
Right.
Because if you got ambition, but you ain't got the actions to match it, it ain't gonna happen. You just wishing.
That's right. That's right. Hey, I know we could talk, but I'm trying to, because I know somebody's behind me like Mario's schedule is tight. But I do want to say this before we get out of here. Put me down. I want to see it. I want to be able to push it here in Los Angeles, because I believe in the back door. The awesome thing I love about social media is that there's always a way to get in touch with somebody. And I've talked to people, look at who I've interviewed, and your episode, believe it, I started this last year just wanting to get my TV and my interview chops back up. You're episode 76 now, though.
What?
So.
And see, the thing is, I didn't even know that was your goal, but the way you're doing this and conducting this, it does feel like, and I'm a TV person, like I could say this, and I'm not just saying this because we know each other, because I just wouldn't answer. I wouldn't say anything if I had something bad to say about you. It feels like that level. Like it feels like I know we're short on time, so we got to do a part 2, but it's also because I'm excited because of how your demeanor, the questions. I love how you dance throughout this whole thing. And so clearly 76 episodes later, I didn't know that you were trying to bone up them skills. And now I can actually say, yo, the skills are, you're tight. You're good. The skills are straight.
And that means a lot. We gotta, like I said, we gotta chop it up. But I want y'all to recognize that Mario, a person who mentors people like he's mentoring me, has throughout his life, whether he knew it or not. I was watching, and still does a grind to get in touch with other people who he considers mentors. So it does not stop. You know, I love the fact that you mentioned Richard Branson, but you sit and talk to Richard Branson, he'll probably tell you a lot. He has the wherewithal and financial piece to do things the way he wants to, but I got a couple of his books on the shelf. If you read his methodology, it's not basic. It's not. A lot of people talk about how he fumbles, but he has the wherewithal to fumble.
2 years ago, I got invited to the man's island. 2 years ago, I'm flying to Miami to then cross over to the man has a private island, man.
And what's so funny is people don't realize. Like most people would say, "Oh, I'm gonna get this big house," stuff like that. When he bought that island, I think he bought it for like $280,000.
Right.
Nothing was on it.
Nothing was on it.
And it was with his first deal with, like, I don't know if it was Rolling Stones, Madonna, whoever he had one of his first deal or whatever. Yeah. And he just built on it continuously.
Yeah. And I mean, he did everything. Like there was no plumbing, there was nothing. There was no electricity, nothing. Like nothing.
You're talking about vision, so. Mario Armstrong, how can people get in touch with you? Because
come back with part 2. We got so many more Baltimore stories to share too, man. We got to come back with a part 2. They can get in touch with me. My favorite place is Instagram, at Mario Armstrong on Instagram. You can always DM me there if you need any help or advice, or just need somebody to talk to that would care to listen. You can hit me there. The website is neversettle.tv. And if you want to watch any of the videos that we've produced, just go to YouTube and go to Never Settle Show. We got a lot of content there that can help you with moving forward on some of your ideas and projects.
The great one, the Emmy Award winning, much more to come, man. Mario Armstrong. Thank you, brother.
I'm so sorry that we had a tight break on this one, but let's do a part 2 so we can add that to this so that we don't leave people hanging. And I know that you and I have other questions and more conversation for each other that I want to get into. So let's do a part 2.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. I appreciate you taking time out, bro.
All right, bro. It's good to see you, man.
Yes, indeed. Talk to you soon.